4,000 years ago, a civilization built cities so advanced they had plumbing, air conditioning, and perfect symmetry, while the rest of the world was still figuring out farming. They traded with Mesopotamia, worked with metals and gems, and created symbols carved into stone that no one on Earth has ever been able to read. Until now. Because artificial intelligence, the same technology that can write, talk, and paint, might have just done the impossible. It may have finally cracked the code of the Indus Valley Script, the world's oldest unsolved language. For more than a century, the Indus Valley Civilization has been one of history's loudest silences. We've unearthed their cities, Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, Dholavira, and discovered streets laid out in perfect grids, public baths, granaries, and homes with bathrooms connected to underground drains. It was a society that valued cleanliness, order, and innovation. Yet despite their brilliance, we can't read their thoughts. We can't understand their prayers. We don't even know their names. Thousands of tiny stone seals covered in mysterious symbols, animals, plants, geometric shapes, were found buried in ruins. Each symbol looks deliberate, carved with meaning, but not one of them has ever been deciphered. We can read the hieroglyphs of Egypt. We've decoded Sumerian cuneiform, but the Indus script? It's like someone deleted the key before history could hit save. Now, more than 4,000 years later, a new kind of mind is trying to solve it. Not human, but artificial. And what it's finding could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the world's first great civilization. The Indus Valley wasn't a small settlement. It was a mega-civilization that stretched across more than 1 million square kilometers, covering modern-day Pakistan, northwest India, and parts of Afghanistan. Over 1,500 towns and cities were connected by trade, culture, and shared symbols. But when the civilization collapsed around 1900 BCE, everything, their language, traditions, and identity, vanished. The script they left behind is found on over 4,000 seals and artifacts. Some show animals like unicorns, bulls, and elephants. Others have rows of small, abstract symbols. Each seal is only about 1 inch wide, tiny but powerful clues. They might have been used for trade, religion, or governance. But no one knows for sure, because there's no bilingual text, no Rosetta Stone to help decode it. Scholars have tried everything. They've compared it to Sanskrit, Tamil, and even Sumerian. They've tried counting symbols, grouping them, testing if they match the sounds of ancient languages. Yet every attempt hits the same wall. Too few samples, too little context, and no clear direction. That's why for over 100 years, one question has haunted historians. Was this script a real language, or just a collection of symbols? Because if it wasn't a language, then everything we've assumed about the Indus people, their literacy, communication, even social structure, could be wrong. Then came a radical idea. What if we let artificial intelligence take a shot? Unlike humans, AI doesn't get tired, biased, or stuck on theories. It can look at thousands of symbols and patterns, compare them across sites, and see relationships invisible to the human eye. So researchers from the Indian Institute of Technology, Stanford, and other global universities digitized every Indus seal and fed them into neural networks, the same kind that recognize faces or translate languages. The question was simple: do these symbols follow any rules? Do they behave like a real written language? And that's where things got interesting. The AI analyzed thousands of symbol combinations, calculating how often certain marks appeared together or apart. Then it measured something called conditional entropy, basically how predictable a symbol is based on what came before it. If the symbols were random, entropy would be high. If it followed grammatical structure, entropy would fall in a specific range, the same range we find in real languages. The results were stunning. The Indus script had the same statistical patterns as spoken languages like Tamil, Sumerian, and Old English. That means the symbols weren't random doodles, they followed consistent rules. There was grammar, there was structure, and there was meaning. But that was only the beginning. When AI zoomed in deeper, it started finding relationships between symbols, almost like words and prefixes. Certain signs always appeared first, others always last. One symbol, which looked like a fish, kept showing up near symbols found in river valley regions, leading researchers to suspect it might represent water, trade, or even fertility. Another symbol, resembling a leaf or a tree, often appeared near agricultural sites, suggesting it could refer to crops or seasons. To test this, linguists turned to Proto-Dravidian, one of the oldest language families still alive in southern India today. Some Dravidian words like min mean both fish and star. So if the fish symbol appeared in a religious context, it might not refer to a fish at all, but to the heavens. AI began mapping these associations, linking ancient context to modern meaning. Suddenly, a picture began to form. The Indus script wasn't just marks on stone. It might have been a flexible system that used both literal and symbolic meanings. Think of it like emojis. One symbol could mean cow, but also wealth or strength, depending on where it appeared. AI was finding grammar. It even discovered that the average sentence length on a seal was 5 symbols long, similar to inscriptions in early Sumerian tablets. This suggested these seals were practical, not ceremonial. They might have labeled goods, recorded ownership, or identified merchant families. Here's where things get even more mind-blowing. AI cross-referenced seal symbols with the locations where they were found: cities, river ports, inland sites. It turned out that certain symbols were clustered in specific regions. For example, seals with elephant or rhinoceros motifs appeared near trade hubs that dealt with ivory, while those showing bulls and grain symbols appeared in agricultural zones. That's when historians realized these weren't random images. They might be trade logos, ancient trademarks used by merchant clans thousands of years before modern branding existed. Imagine this: a merchant in Mohenjo-Daro seals his goods with a bull symbol. Another in Harappa uses an elephant. Those seals are then recognized in Mesopotamia or Oman as a mark of origin, the same way we recognize a Made in Japan or Made in Italy label today. The Indus Valley might have invented global branding long before modern companies even existed. But there's more. Using computer vision, AI found that even the carving style varied by region. The depth, angle, and curvature of strokes changed subtly from one area to another, just like regional handwriting styles. This suggests that the Indus Valley wasn't a single kingdom, but a network of culturally linked city-states that shared a language but had local variations. A bit like how Spanish and Portuguese evolved from Latin. Another pattern shocked researchers. Seals found in coastal areas often had additional markings resembling tally marks or numbers. These could have been accounting codes, quantities, weights, or trade records. So not only was the Indus script a language, but it might have also been an early system of data storage. And then came the breakthrough that sent chills down the spine of every historian watching the experiment. The AI detected something that looked eerily like syntax, a repeating sequence where certain prefix symbols always came before another set, almost like subject-object-verb construction. When compared to Dravidian languages like Tamil, this pattern was nearly identical. This meant the Indus script might not just be related to Dravidian, it might be its ancestor. If true, that would make it the oldest known Dravidian script in existence, and possibly one of the oldest written languages humanity ever used. Even more astonishingly, one set of recurring symbols, a vertical line, a leaf shape, and a jar, appeared across hundreds of seals. When translated through AI linguistic modeling, it might correspond to the Proto-Dravidian phrase for grain-keeper or warehouse. That fits perfectly with where many of these seals were found, in storage buildings and granaries. It was the first time a computer had possibly translated a real Indus word. Imagine, after 4,000 years of silence, we might finally be hearing the voices of ancient merchants labeling their grain stores, marking ownership, or blessing their trade goods. For centuries, we looked at these stones and saw mystery. AI looked at them and saw math, language, and memory. The Indus Valley people vanished long before Rome, Greece, or even China's dynasties rose to power. They left behind no pyramids, no royal tombs, no battle records. But they left something even more powerful, an idea carved in stone. A system of order, of communication, of civilization itself. And now, after thousands of years, That idea is speaking again through the digital mind of a machine. We still don't know everything. No one has yet read a full sentence. But the pieces are falling into place. Every new seal scanned, every pattern found, brings us closer to hearing their story in their own words. And that's the magic of history meeting technology. The past isn't just bones and ruins anymore. It's data waiting to be understood. And AI is giving humanity the hearing aid it never knew it needed. One day, maybe soon, we'll be able to read those stones and finally know what the people of the Indus Valley wanted to tell us. Not as an echo, but as a conversation between two civilizations separated by 4 millennia, now finally speaking the same language. Subscribe now, because history's next secret is already waiting to be decoded.